All right, we're ready to get going. Thank you again so much for being here and welcome. I hope those of you that have been in the meetings today have done well. I'm Lisa Starr and I'm the Grow Well Educator with We Work Well. And for people who are watching this later, I just want to say that We Work Well is the premier buyer and supplier connecting platform in the spa and wellness industry. This event is taking place during our first virtual buying session for the EMEA market. So we're very excited to have so many countries and companies participating today. And we wanted to take this pause in the middle of the day to talk about something that we think is important to consider going forward. What is the role of technology in the spa and wellness environment? We are in a high-touch world with such great service, and yet we're seeing this advent of technology. And in some ways, thank goodness, right? Because this would have been an even tougher year without it. But where do we go from here is the topic of our discussion today. And I have some panelists that are joining me in a moment, but I wanted to walk us through a little context setting exercise about where we come from in spa. I mean, when you look at this timeline, obviously, the treatments of touching people, bathing, and that communal culture of health and wellness has been happening for a very long time. It's not something new. I love this quote from Hippocrates, 460 to 370 BC, advocating that the way to health is to have an aromatic bath and scented massage every day. Smart man. So what we do for clients is a long time custom. I mean, it wasn't until the 1840s that we even had bathrooms in our houses, which is just a moment in time if you look at the timeline of history. First day spa in the US, New York City, 1910, Elizabeth Arden. And these are some of the kinds of treatments that they did in the 40s and 50s. I don't know, some of these look a little high tech with the dryers. I love this one. Obviously, somewhere in Eastern Europe, the old Swiss shower, which we don't see too much of anymore. Spas look a little different today. And where we are now, I love this chart from McKinsey, talking about the acceleration of digitization being adopted by people. 3 to 4 years across all of these regions, Asia Pac, Europe, North America. So, you know, our adoption rate was creeping up, but the pandemic has very much accelerated it as needs be, right? We were lucky to have this tool to keep connected in this time. Who could have predicted? I mean, in Asia, they were already shut down at this time last year. We were almost 1 year into this, and I just could never have imagined, I'm sure none of you could have either, what would happen. And lastly, I want to share a few quotes. Technology Connected is a platform for tech, and 70% of businesses they questioned had increased use of technology as a result of the pandemic, and 48% said it sped them up. Atif Rafiq, president at MGM Resorts, plans to implement technology were accelerated 6 to 9 months, and it is the core of almost every element of the customer service experience as we reopen. Someone from Guestline, Andrew McGregor, hospitality experience is about people and we should expect a hybrid experience. But I like this comment that he makes that we will move away from data capture and be focused on service and welcome, right? Because if the guests have completed their details ahead of time, then we don't need to spend time with them on that element. And there's a way that technology can help us. Harmit Singh, Chief Financial Officer of Levi's, gives us the ability to transform data and facts into action and use this intelligence alongside of our own consumer expertise to drive better results. And this person, Hani Weiss, is the CEO of Majid Al Futtaim Retail, parent company of Carrefour. No matter how our customers want to shop, we can be there for them. We developed this agility through the pandemic, and I want to keep it as we go forward. I don't think we're going back, right? But how do we move forward is the question. And lastly, Michael Alexis, CEO of Team Building. We've grown revenue and profit and now are doing 2 to 3 times more revenue than we were pre-COVID. So good things have happened, but how are we going to marry all of this technology with the high touch, customized experience that we have trained our clients to expect in spas? So to debate that topic, I have a wonderful group of panelists who are going to join us. We have Christelle Besnier. She is the Senior Spa Director of Four Seasons UAE. We have Frank Pitsikalis, CEO of ResortSuite Software. And yes, please turn on your cameras, my group. Rupert Schmid, co-CEO of Biologique Recherche, a global skincare company, and Javier Suárez, who is the Area Wellness Manager for Six Senses. So welcome again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this discussion. Now I'm going to come back to Christelle and say, Christelle, can you tell us what you're seeing at Four Seasons in the UAE in terms of technology adoption and how it's marrying with the hospitality experience?
First of all, Lisa, thank you for organizing such a panel, and thank you for having me with the other panelists. I'm very happy to contribute on that topic. As we all know, the Middle East is usually user-friendly for whatever is technologic. We are very quite ahead in terms of apps. In terms of hospitality, my company, Four Seasons, is quite successful as well with the Four Seasons app and the chat that we developed several years ago. We see the technology, of course, we are in the now, and the pandemic accelerated, obviously, the need to be connected together and to be connected very quickly and very efficiently. Obviously, in the luxury segment, the one-on-one interactions and the personalization of the service has very important, and we train our team members to be reactive enough and to handle this new way of interacting with our guests. I would say that in my field, which is the spa, actually, I'm overlooking the 3 spas here in the UAE and also supporting other spas in the Middle East and Africa region. And I have to say that the technology is coming more and more often on the menu. A great push from the company, actually, who wanted really to highlight other treatments, alternative treatment for the guest, especially the low-touch therapies. So we will be discussing at a later stage more in detail, giving the choice again to our guests, and also enlightening our team as well to embrace the change. And for a very traditional, I would say, segment like the spa with holistic therapies and the high touch treatment, this is a totally a different direction that we are coming now, which is quite very interesting and exciting. And I have to say that this pandemic brought us a new look towards the wellness in general. And hospitality has really an opportunity right now because we are gathering all the elements of the guest experience. And when the guest is traveling, honestly, we are contributing so much to his overall wellness through the room division, through the F&B division, looking at their kids, looking at the way they travel to us, how they want to be recognized, and obviously in more spa and fitness related areas. And I really wish that we really embrace that connectivity, not only towards the app, but also towards different touch points in our hotels and resorts. And that connectivity, to me, who is coming from the field, is starting with the fitness to be connected more with the spa. In many properties I've been in, and I see 2 different approaches. Of course, we have a more active area with the gym, and then a less active one with the spa side. And these 2 sections that are under the same leader should be more connected. And that's why it's very interesting to think about low-touch therapies and technology in terms of treatments, how to link both and to cross-promote as well their overall well-being and wellness in the property.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. Some good points there we'll come back to. Frank, thank you for joining us today from snowy Toronto.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, no, absolutely. And to Christelle's point, you know, the really technology needs to support the guest experience, right? So it can't be something that sort of gets in the way. And I think in all ways, you know, with COVID, what we've seen is the fact that more and more people have embraced technology. Obviously, we use Zoom and we're doing it here today. But, you know, in terms of their everyday lives, you know, the ability to order my Starbucks and have it ready when I get there, and they don't misspell my name because my name is actually printed on the little chip. They don't get my order wrong. So there's a matter of personalization, and by using technology to streamline the experience and make it more consistent as well. So I don't think we'll ever replace that one-to-one true hospitality. But at the same time, I think technology can really help to automate a lot of those things. And as Christelle said, bring all of the operations together. So the ability to have, you know, a mobile app that can deliver a seamless guest experience. So yes, you have your spa treatments, but as more and more hotels are really looking at this wellness megatrend, we're all in tune through COVID, we're all in tune with our own personal wellness. So the ability to deliver that wellness experience and all of this programming that's coming, I think is key. You know, the ability to serve your members and, you know, different business models that a lot of spas have had to adopt in terms of looking at their operations and rethinking their menu mix, rethinking how they use their staff in more optimal ways, how they revenue manage their spas. I mean, there's so many things that technology can help, because the financial health of the spa we've now seen is so critical, right? For all stakeholders, not just the owners and investors, but the staff, the guests. It is such a pivotal, important aspect that we look at, you know, the whole holistic view of the financial health of the spa. And so, you know, I think technology, again, can help to deliver that personalized experience, where you could book your spa treatments, your yoga classes, your dinner reservations, making that really easy for the guests to do. And for some guests, that's what they're looking for now. Some of the quotes that you had where we're now just realizing that some guests actually prefer not talking to somebody on the phone. If you ask my daughter to call, she just won't. She'd rather text me than call me on the phone. And so this generation is now really using their mobile devices to do everything. You know, for hospitality, mobile was always the future, but I think COVID has just accelerated that.
For sure. I love what you said. I think this generation is using their mobile for everything except to call anyone, because they don't want to do that. Thank you so much. Let's move on to Rupert. Welcome, Rupert.
Thank you, Lisa. You know, our business is made by interaction with the guest. Okay, as Frank and Christelle mentioned already before, what we believe is that wellness is relying on the quality of a personal relationship with the guest. In the spa business, that starts with the reception, with how the ability to easily take an appointment, but then it's a personal interaction between your therapist and the guest. So technology will also help us a lot to understand, to assess, for example, the skin of the guest. And we're just at the beginning. Understanding what is the real sebum level, hydration, transepidermal water loss, size of pores, and how that change over time with the life of the guest is something which can really support and help the interaction between the therapist and the guest, because then the exchange become real. And yes, our therapists are gifted, are great, They all have they have a lot of experience. But if you can bring them the support and the knowledge of technology, then they will be reassured, and the guest will be reassured. So the quality of the relationship will change drastically. That's the first point. The second thing is that this is not only true in facials. Okay, we are right now looking at how to assess the level of relaxation of a guest during a treatment. It can be a body treatment, a massage, it can be, and what we are right now looking at is how far is the level of relaxation of the guest affecting the results of the treatment. And this is something which we really believe in, but we all believe in wellness, and we know that the level of relaxation will benefit for sure at the quality of the treatment, the result of the treatment. Last but not least, what we believe is that the spa is no longer, and wellness is no longer remaining in the limit of the spa or of the hotel facility. Okay, the challenge we all have is to keep alive relationship with the guests. So there are very easy issues like I'm locked down since 2 months, so my skin is bad, what could I do? One thing is sure is that if you knew the guest when he was alive outside, her skin has totally changed over the past weeks, okay? So then having the technology to do a real skin assessment even when people are no longer in the spa will emphasize and create a real qualitative relationship with the guest, and then you will be able to offer to the guest the good treatment. And this can even be real during COVID. We have tested that, we have done that in some countries, and it's just bluffing. In some countries, the turnover in retail was 20% higher than when the spa was open. Okay, so yes, we have lost all the treatments, but people were willing to buy more, to take more care of themselves, maybe because they had time than before.
Wow, that's fascinating. I want to hear more about how we're measuring relaxation, but we will come back to that. Javier, I'm going to throw it to you.
Thank you. It's an honor to participate, and I'm taking lots of notes, learning a lot here. Listen, I'm glad you share those pictures because it shows how much technology has influenced our industry. And I think it makes a big difference because during the lockdown, we've all gotten smarter and faster and quicker thanks to technology. Mm-hmm. And I think it's in Six Senses is a lot. I often say that the guests know more than us, and they have the latest gadgets, and they are the ones pushing our industry because many of them are wellness driven, and sometimes they are the ones that are showing us the latest trends, whether it's biohacking or sleep devices or you name it. We'll talk about it later if you want, what we do in Six Senses and many other things we do. But like Rupert was saying, skin analysis we have in many of our resorts. I think, it's very exciting because it's not only for our guests, but technology has improved the communication with our employees. We were on lockdown at the beginning last year. We didn't know how we were going to communicate and how we were going to stay close to them. But Zoom, for example, is a great example of how we all gotten closer to our employees and how we stayed connected during this very difficult emotional time. And I personally think that, technology has improved our personal lives and also our professional lives.
I agree. I mean, as we said amongst ourselves at the beginning, how would we have managed this time? We're all used to traveling, being with each other, all of us at conferences and exhibitions, and here we are stranded in our homes, and yet business carries on. The world carries on, right? It's clear that technology is not going anywhere, obviously, but the question is how we integrate the technology that we have with maintaining a high touch spa experience, in some cases a luxury spa experience. And so while Javier, I'm talking with you, can you describe to us like your wellness screening, for example, at Six Senses? People come to a Six Senses resort expecting nature, you know, you've got chickens and natural and good food, and yet you have also technology that you have integrated. How does that work? Javier, are you here? He's frozen for me. Is he frozen for you guys? Okay, we'll wait for him to come back. And I want to go back to Rupert and ask you, can you elaborate a little bit more about how you can measure the wellness and relaxation of a guest in your care?
I'm back. First of all, there's one important thing. Even with skin analysis, what we consider is that we're only at the beginning of this big change, okay? And this big change, as Javier mentioned, is key in the link with the guest and the therapist and us and the therapist too. So it's a global approach. Just to give you an example, when you are deeply relaxed, your head is emitting some, what is called in France at least, A waves. Okay, so if you are able to measure the A waves, then you are able to measure the level of relaxation you have. Okay, how to measure the skin facts? You know that we have already a couple of machines on that. The problem is that some of those machines are medical devices, so they are sometimes not so easy to handle. Okay, and there are a lot of tools on the market to test everything. We believe that we really need to rely on science. And as said, it's just the beginning. We all need to move in that direction, but it's the beginning of a process. What we know is that it will emphasize the quality of the touch, for sure. Sometimes, even when you're a talented therapist, okay, you may do some mistakes by assessing the skin of a guest. If you have your knowledge, and if you have the data, then you will be more assured and you will be able to do a much better treatment and offer much better results.
So it's using technology as a tool, like the means to the end. It's not the technology for itself, but how it helps you achieve a better result. That makes a lot of sense. We got Javier back. I'm glad to see that. Internet connections go in and out. Javier, I was asking you to elaborate a little bit on how a Six Senses guest arriving and expecting sort of that natural rustic experience, and then you have a wellness screening that does use technology. How do they respond to that?
Well, I think we've moved beyond just thinking that spa is a place where we do massage. And I think that people have now an understanding that wellness is a much broader scenario, where people expect the technology, as we said, as whether it's some kind of measurement, like you said, wellness screening, in which we using a device, a computer, and certain things, we are able to assess their autonomic nervous system, parasympathetic versus sympathetic, which is a very fancy word to say how stressed are you today. And we do have some actual numbers, as Rupert was saying before. People like to see facts, and they like to see the technology, not just
Oh dear, did we lose him again? Okay. Christelle, let's jump back to you and wait for Javier to return.
As I said before.
Oh, he is here. Good. Go ahead. I'm sorry. We hear you.
Oh, my connection probably not. I live in the mountains, so my
connection. Yeah, that happens. It happens.
My connection is not very good. But yeah, I think some of our guests are wearing a ring, and that measures a whole bunch of biomarkers. They have watches that track their sleep, their SpO2. So more and more guests are looking for that kind of technology. I'm myself a biohacking fan, and I have all those technologies in order, and many of our hosts, our employees are wearing those devices because it helps you understand how you sleep, or how how your heart rate is today, or whether you're going to get sick nowadays with an SpO2 device, how your oxygen is doing. So in summary, many of our guests are requesting these services, and therefore Six Senses is always trying to be at the forefront of wellness technology, and we're not shy, and in fact we're looking into the latest things in wellness technology.
Well, I wear, my little kind of thing like we all do, and I wonder, is it making me more stressed? Like now I'm worried, did I hit my 10,000 steps? Is it causing more stress than it should be? I don't know. I mean, I do think it's so great to measure, but what do we do with that information? It remains to be seen. I'm going to jump back to Christelle. What I was asking you in a moment, Christelle, was in a 5-star environment, you have a luxury guest, has a very high expectation. How are they adapting to technology used in service?
Well, I would say, like Javier already mentioned, that we are learning with our guests as well. They are ultra connected. They are international travelers. They are seeing a lot of technologies already. Also, these lockdown times, we had so much time to watch the internet and to discover other new devices. So we became curious as well, and we traveled our mind and educate ourselves towards new way of achieving a well-being and enhancing a wellness routine or a healthier lifestyle. I would say that our high expectation guests are also very keen to maintain this one-on-one approach with the therapist community. As you shared on the previous slides, obviously it's a very ancient traditional segment. And the healing part of those therapies are really coming back as a need to complement, whatever is technological. I would say there is no opposition between the technology and the high-touch treatment. It's more a complement, and to be smart enough to use the technology a component to really enhance and achieve more benefit from the more traditional therapy. At the same time, it's also stay connected with your guests post-treatment. This is something really that I believe will be one of the future interactions with our guests. I know when we are talking about hotel spas, this is mainly the guest of the hotel, and the spa is sometimes very shy to develop such interaction afterwards. But this wellness concierge, this wellness is also to carry on from properties to other properties. And obviously at Four Seasons, we are very regular guests that are traveling our hotels. So this is something that we are looking into at the same time. But definitely, I think they are very happy to see another offer on the menu, to see that we are also, embracing that change, that we recognize that the need has changed as well. I see a lot more guests very showing appetite for healing therapies such as yoga, but mostly singing bowl meditations, for example, asking more as well about Reiki. And in every part of the world is not related if you are in Bali, but also from city properties, you have really this deep willingness to reconnect to yourself. And when you are sharing about your watch and your device, obviously, it's also creating some stress, because few months or years back, we were all about what is this digital detox. We also need to detox about all this technology because it's invading our lives so quickly. But it's a matter of balance, and it's quite new. We have to we are also learning on the go, and we have to, us professional of wellness and skincare or the system that's supporting our industry, have to take this educational part as well to our teams, and so we can also handle that, and also to train and to educate more than training our guests how to handle this new world in this new normality of everything is super connected.
That's many great points, Christelle, and I think you're right. I mean, if people are seeking a digital detox and they come to the spa, then we can't then all be about technology either. We have to be able to help them, I'm sure, through training, as you've said. That's part of the key is getting our staff tuned in to how to respond to these situations. I'm going to jump back to Frank in a minute, but I want to remind our attendees, please, if you have a question or comment, go ahead and put it in the chat. We're monitoring that, and we'll be happy to pick up those threads as we go. Frank, I'm going to come back to you, the CEO of a technology company. You've been in the spa and wellness field for many years. I know that your product has probably evolved with the market. What are you hearing from guests, clients rather, of your product? What are they looking for? You need to unmute, Frank. Sorry.
That's the classic of 2020. You're on mute.
You're on mute.
You know, they're looking for, I think, the ability to serve the guests now in the new way that the guest wants to be served, right? And so with guests that are now going to be returning post-COVID, we're going to get that first rush of guests that just want that to come back to the spa and have human touch, and they're willing to take maybe a few more risks. Those are the diehard
pioneers, we call them.
Pioneers,
we love them.
Yeah. But it's the other half, the other, let's say 50% of guests that are going to be a little more apprehensive. So how can we make them feel safe? How can we make them feel, again, just in a way that maybe the way that they want to be served? And if we can remove some of the unnecessary transactional parts of the experience, where if I can check in on my phone and get a digital key and go right to my room, and then be able to now book my spa treatments directly from my own device, and be able to book dinner reservations and golf or whatever else I want to be doing, a yoga class, but then be able to put that phone away and then go enjoy the spa, where I know, you know, spa has always been about cleanliness. And I mean, I think we led the world, not just for spas, but we, in a lot of ways, showed how to, you know, how we do our protocols in terms of cleanliness and sterilization and everything else. And so guests will feel safe when they're in the confines of a spa, but it's all the other parts of the experience. If I want to see the menu, I don't need to touch something. I can see it on my mobile device. If I want to book, if I want to pay, I can just, you know, contactless, be able to just use my device to pay to my member account, to my hotel room, whatever it might be, using Apple Pay. And so I think technology can help remove some of those unnecessary contact points. People are going to be much more sensitive to having to touch things. Do I need to touch that kiosk at the front desk? You know, it's all of those things that I think if we can remove them, we're just going to make it, you know, there's always going to be the guest that wants to be served one-to-one and wants to have that traditional level of service. And that's okay. Of course, we'll be there for them. And there's others that some parts of that experience, they want to be able to access it via technology. And contactless does not have to mean serviceless.
Good
right?
point.
Technology can be sort of behind the scenes, a little bit invisible, but it should just feel effortless to the guest. I want to see my itinerary. Oh, I see a gap. Let me book another spa treatment, or I want to go ahead and book dinner for this evening at the restaurant, or book a hike in the morning, you know, whatever it might be, so that the rest of the operation is aware that this is what I'm doing. So having that sort of horizontal ability across all touch points. And I think both Rupert and Christelle brought up a really good, that post-stay. So it's pre-stay, being able to create my itinerary, and then post-stay, the ability to continue to interact with my therapist or even other people that I enjoyed that experience with, and be able to get that remote consultation. We're going to see wellness be able to be delivered over a mobile device where I can ask questions. Maybe I can be sent a couple videos on some movements, or maybe my skin, again, as Rupert said, can be analyzed even remotely. I think we're going to see tremendous moves in technology that will allow that experience to go beyond the walls of the treatment room and even the walls of the hotel, and allow that guest to create a relationship that is ongoing with that particular wellness operation.
Well said, Frank. So it's technology coming alongside what we do and supporting us in the background. I'm laughing that my husband, when I was talking about the topic for today, and he said, well, how would technology help in the spa? And I said, well, look, if I go back to a spa that knows that I like a certain therapist or product or light level or music choice or tea or how I like my coffee prepared, think of the better service we can deliver. And it's that those elements have been there all along. We just didn't rely on them as much. And now, we have this ability to be on their device in their pocket through apps and ways to communicate. And as you said, they don't want to touch things. So yet it's not serviceless, right? I mean, we're still focusing on service and how it can even advance us. I want to jump to a question, excellent question from Amanda Almasri. Welcome, Amanda. Amanda, for those of you that don't know her, although I think most of you do, she's a founding advisory board member for We Work Well, and she's joining us from Connecticut this morning. Amanda asks, with the economic impact of the pandemic, there's a reluctance to spend money, and we know budgets are tight. So are there ways that spas can better leverage the tech that they might already have in-house? Does anybody have a comment or suggestion on that? And anybody in the chat as well. Frank, since you're on, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. Great question, Amanda. I mean, I think that we are seeing very strategic investments in technology. And technology has to make some sort of improvement. If there's a way to automate, if there's a way to improve something. But your point about looking at how you can leverage the technology you already have, right? And there's probably a lot of features that you haven't made use of that you should really look at in terms of what you're using, and maybe some of the goals. So now having less staff and having to manage your operations with fewer resources, potentially using some features to do some revenue management to ensure that you're offering the optimal mix of services during periods of demand, so that you're ensuring that you're making the highest profit. And if it's having some of Rupert's products in a facial, maybe prioritizing those types of treatments that are also going to drag product sales versus selling a wax service or something. So it's about using the technology and the tools that technology offers to really leverage it and maximize its viability. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of strategic investments, and again, investments that help to streamline the experience across the board. So it's really going to be a bit of both. There has to be some investment, but at the same time, it's leverage what you have as well.
Christelle, let me ask you, I know that you have in your property some high-tech pieces of equipment that you, I'm sure, had already. How are guests reacting to those? Are they becoming more interested in sort of the low touch options on the menu?
So yes, you're right. We have on the menu some percussion therapy systems. We also have infrared sauna that are quite relevant for the time now. As we discussed at corporate, to offer an alternative to guests that were not yet comfortable to come back in our spas, we developed this low touch section in our menus. I was quite surprised of the low turnaround of these low touch therapies compared to the high touch. Actually, I think everyone during those months and lockdown were so keen to get back to their regular spa treatment, and we did so well as well with reinforcing all our our safety measures, and we had a big campaign with Four Seasons. We did with care, sorry. And I would say that I was expecting to have more demand for this, but for example, the percussion therapy is to me amazing device that is really linking, you know, the fitness experience to the spa experience as well. So I'm all about linking the experience for a more global approach in the hotel. And we're also using it as an enhancement, especially for deep tissue massage. So it's a great addition. At the same time, it's good for the team because it's also a tool that can use as a self-recovery tool, even if now they have less back-to-back massage because we have extended the time of turnaround in between the guests. But this is also technology not only for our guests, but also for them. In regards to the infrared sauna, for example, which is the case in Four Seasons Resort Jumeirah, this is a great tool as well to create new guest journey, you know, new guest experiences, and mixing up the fitness sessions with a detox recovery or a more relaxing or a more slimming approach, enhancing with great body treatments and then massage or facial. So it's also a way to showcase as well our existing therapies that are more traditional, let's say, in another angle, and giving them let's say the knowledge of rediscovering the spa in a new way that they can benefit more than previously. I think this is all about the topic is for us is to showcase our talents in-house, our therapists, our therapies, and to deliver new experiences and to let them understand then in this new normality, they can take advantage of the spas and wellness centers in a different way and a more beneficial way, more efficient way to recover healthy lifestyle and to prevent them better than to cure.
That's great. Thank you. I love to hear about your focus on uniting spa and fitness. Often in hotels, they have been sort of different and separate, and you know, they are one and the same, right? It's just more extension of us being. We have had many discussions on Zoom calls about the low touch, high touch experience, and bringing in equipment, let's say, that we can book a treatment on, but that does not require a therapist. And there's been quite a lot of, let's say, high feelings, high emotions around that. And I don't think that we mean it in the sense of, oh, it's one or the other, right? But from the ownership perspective, we have seen in the last year that if we rely only on therapists to bring in revenue and something like this happens, we have no other options other than retail. So there's some way to marry low touch, high touch in a way that makes sense. And it sounds like that's what's happening for you, Christelle. Although I will also say, to your point, that globally, clients have not been shy about booking treatments. I mean, here in the US, my consulting client spas that have reopened have all been full, you know, all the time. People, and these aren't just the pioneers now, people want to be touched. So they are coming back without a problem. Javier, I want to jump back to you while we have you with us. I know that you are in lockdown at the moment, but that's recent. You were open for 5 months or so. Were guests coming back and really ready to jump back into treatments right away?
Yeah, you said it. And apologies for the connection. The poor connection is a horrible storm here, and technology doesn't cope with that very well. So, yeah, I mean, you said it. Guests came back to have treatments like there was no tomorrow. But I think we also have to be very mindful that we have to be there for all different kinds of guests and be respectful that many people don't like to be touched nowadays, don't like to be in environments where there's other people. So, you know, we are exploring things like having virtual fitness in your room So you can actually have online classes, but you don't have to come down to the gym, because even though we're taking bookings and we're limiting the space of the number of guests that we have in our gyms, some guests are afraid, and rightly so. So many people don't want to come to the spa. And the question is, can we bring the spa to them? I think that is essential. We want our guests to come to our resorts, which is where the main revenue comes in, and spas are here to support and to support our guests and our hotels. So we as wellness industry have to find a way to bring wellness to them, whether it's via the TV or via wellness concierge or like Frank was saying, you know, online coaching. But I think we're here to find a new way to deliver wellness to our guests.
I think your point is good, Javier, in that people they're not afraid of the therapist, they're afraid of the facility, right? Or the space or the air, right? It isn't the person. They don't even seem to be worried about being in a room with a therapist. It's just kind of the other environmental things that are worrying them. So, I mean, time will tell. We'll begin to be vaccinated and new cases will go down. I mean, we obviously will beat this. It's just everyone is wondering when, and it's already dragged on so long. Rupert, I'd like to come back to you. Nobody here travels more countries, I think, than you do, except in the last year. And so your vision of how technology comes alongside to support the technician through technology, right? How the tools that you've provided for them to do a better job, what do you see as the consumer response to that? Do they feel like it's really helping, or do you think that they're skeptical about it?
First of all, I would like to answer Amanda's question.
Okay, good.
The first tool we all have is a phone. Okay. And to keep up the relationship with the guest, you can use text, voice, and video. Okay. And what we have learned at the beginning of the lockdown is that in the countries where they really needed to survive, okay, where the spas were not big hotel spas and so on, okay, because they were forced to survive, they really have activated the relationship with the phone, okay, with their guests. And they have achieved plus 20%, okay, in retail. So that means that technology is not a new software, is not a new machine. The first technology, we all have them in our pocket, okay?
I love that, the old-fashioned way.
This is really the way to activate the relationship. To answer your question, first of all, if you talk about technology in general, I believe that we have all to look at technology, I mean, new tools, new machines, and so on, with a lot of humility. Okay, we're in the wellness world, and as you perfectly mentioned, the benefit of this wonderful watch, okay, is supposed to allow me to live 3 years longer, okay, because but the stress generated by me looking at the watch may deduct a couple of years from the 3 years longer, okay? So that is the reason why it's a good example for how humble we need to be with all technological new stuff.
We're going to die sooner, but we'll know more when we do. So
yes, exactly. So nobody really understands how our body and how our mind is working. Okay, so we have to take the tools, the machines, the software we really believe in, that they can bring a piece of something to our staff, to us, to the relationship with the guests. And what we believe is that what we have seen in the past, okay, even though it's not easy, for example, our Skin Instant Lab machine is wonderful, but if you do not take care of the machine is complicated to operate, okay? That's to be totally transparent, but it's a top tool. But the thing is that when you use the right tool, okay, it's always a good investment. Okay, if you choose the right one, not the crazy machine. We have a lot of crazy machine in the market. So if you are humble to look at that, it's exactly like training. If you invest in the right technology, in the right machine, okay, it will be profitable. And to answer the question, in those days, can we invest in technology? It's like training. Training always pays. Technology always pays. If you have chosen the right one, that's fairly easy.
Segue, Rupert, into the next question from Amanda. Thank goodness Amanda is awake and firing some questions at us. How do we get this staff, right? Because we've mentioned already that we have staff that are very focused on high touch and maybe not into technology, or they see it as replacing their touch, and we have to train them how to engage with the guest in new ways. You know, Christelle, let me jump back to you because I know Four Seasons is so excellent on training. How have you adapted your training approach to teach the therapists how to use the technology as a tool, but not to let it interfere with their one-on-one with the guest?
Yes, actually, I think the pride of the therapist is to see the guest really satisfied and happy with the treatment that they just give. And if you really show the therapist that this additional technological tool or this new feature will benefit the guest, will enhance then the touch treatment that they will be given to the guest, it's a bargain. We did that already with the new technological approach that we have. And they were all excited also to learn more things, you know, to diversify their knowledge and to be actor of a new wellness experience. When I was talking about the percussion therapy earlier, it's also a great tool for them to recover from a long treatment days and also from injuries. They feel that today we are in a world where we have solutions, and this is nothing to replace them or their knowledge. It's really a complement, and they are proudly offering it to the guests as an alternative treatment and to support the great eye touch of their therapies.
Okay, great. Right. Tool to support, and that's what we have to focus on. Javier, how about your training for your staff? How do you get them to embrace the use of technology?
I was just thinking about artificial intelligence and when comes the time that a robot will replace the therapist. But I don't think that time is anywhere soon, because, you know, I've written a piece for a very famous newspaper when they asked me about how we're going to get over the pandemic on this, you know, in these times that we cannot touch each other. Now, there's something called oxytocin, which is a hormone that, you know, you release when the skin is in touch with the skin, and that's something that cannot be replaced nowadays, thank God. And I think it's long come the time when that's going to happen, because human interaction is always human interaction. Now, to your point of how do we train our people, now we have to remember that our people are much younger than us. Therefore, they have, or than me, so they have a different approach to what, you know. I am a therapist by training. I used to be a therapist 20 years ago, and I'm thinking how, but my, you know, our therapists are embracing this because they think technology is the greatest thing in the world. So whatever devices, whether it's a percussive device that you can add to your therapy, they think is great. So this is why we keep searching and trying to find new technologies to integrate it with them, because they're moving really fast, and sometimes we're not. We think we can just continue doing the same thing, and this pandemic has shown us that we need to maybe embrace something new.
The speed of change is accelerating for sure. You know, I mean, most of us are in a similar generation, and I know we've all tried to keep up. We all have modern phones and devices, and yet we have children who, you know, they think we can't use any of it. You know, my kids think I don't even know how to use my phone, and I do. I do know how to use my phone, but I'm not good at Snapchat, I confess. So I think you're right. The younger people are more adept at keeping up, and they're more open to the new changes coming in than maybe the older generation are. But we do have therapists, you know, that are from our generation, and maybe they are worried that they don't want technology to take away their job. But as you said, robots cannot give treatments, and I don't see that happening anytime soon.
And I think Frank made a great point, which is also our guests, you know, the younger generations. I've seen, you know, guests sending messages back and forth all the time via Twitter or WhatsApp to our spa receptionist. And you think, oh my God, that guest is 5 meters away, but they rather communicate with us by phone. So, you know, there's no doubt that this is teaching us a lot of things, and we need to speed up and understand how we communicate, not only with our employees, but also with our guests.
Great comments. We have just a few minutes left, and I just wanted to say, ask any of my panelists, do you have a closing remark or thought you'd like to share? I mean, we could go on for ages because this is a fascinating topic, but we don't have ages. We have meetings to start soon. So Frank, anything you'd like to say in closing?
I'll just address what Javier just said and Christelle about training. I think everyone learns differently. So whatever generation your staff are from, and you might have mixed, you know, being able to give material. We did a lot of webinars during this time, and we had a record attendance from our clients. So being able to provide information in the form of information they can read, information that they can hear, and also video. Videos become a forum for, especially for the younger generation, they consume video. And so if you can provide your training material in ways that they like to learn, I think it's important. So, you know, a lot of the vendors, I think that's our duty, is to help our spas with that educational material so they can make the most of our products, of our technologies, and be able to utilize, especially at this time when the staff may have more time on their hands, as opposed to when they're head down doing treatments and just don't have as much time for training. So now's a great time to certainly do that.
Very true. And using technology to accomplish training, because it's not all, we are all in one room with the, you know, the trader anymore. There's so much, as you said, Frank, video. Young people really consume video. And honestly, what can't we learn how to do now on YouTube? So we need to use that tool to help stay connected to the guests and not lose sight of that high touch and high tech approach. Rupert, I'm going to come back to you because I know you will have a wise word to send us off.
Oh, no, I'm not wise at all. No, using technology to train is something which we have done and which we are doing during the pandemic, and it was impressively successful. And just to one thought, which is wellness will boom. Okay, we see that we have new clients even coming to our spa in Paris, all around the world. The need for wellness is just immense, and people will go back to the spa. But on the other hand, we will need to offer something unique to our guests. So the people who will not move in us quickly with technology and with all the tools we have, and as Christelle mentioned, adapting, including high touch, low touch, all the different options needed by the guest, they may be on the side road, because even though the market is growing, that doesn't mean that everyone will profit of it.
That's very true. Good point. We have a challenging year ahead of us as we climb back out of this, and we will. We have to be ready to welcome the guests back in whatever way they want to interact with us, right? Whether it's WhatsApping us while they're from the pool to the front, enjoying touch or embracing touch or using the Skin Instant Lab or using their device to open a door and gain access and collaborate with your staff. But we have to be open to it, you know, and I'm glad we're having this discussion because many of us have put many, many years into this industry of touch and communication, and we need to see that technology come alongside us or we're going to be left behind for sure, and we don't want that. Thank you again to all of my panelists. You were awesome. I really appreciate your time and effort in this. It's been a fun conversation. You now have a short break if you're continuing with meetings. You have 15 minutes till your next meeting starts. And those of you that are not in meetings can enjoy your afternoon. Thank you again for joining us at We Work Well.